Hey everyone, it's Tico. The next couple tarot tutorials are going to be looking at some of the Major Arcana, and then we're going to move into the astrology and putting everything together. The reason why I call these advanced tarot tutorials is really the advanced part comes from you. And, I talked to someone who's been following along, and they have a notebook, and they've been doing the work, and the advanced part comes with understanding all these different layers intersecting at once and then being able to put it together using your own vision, intuition, to come up with meanings for the reading. Combine that with all the, many different resources of amazing readers, information on YouTube, tarot books, ebooks, websites, etc. There's so much wonderful information that you can apply. So it's kind of a fun, never-ending learning process, even for myself. And today's tutorial is going to be story time with Tico. This is something that's many different people have written something similar to this. It's a fictitious account of what we call the Fool's Journey as we're introducing the Major Arcana. So you have, 1 through 21, and the Fool, the zero, the infinite potential, right? The representation of energy unmanifested yet, and being guided by spirit, head and heart in alignment. Travels through this pattern of archetypes. So this is really it's very similar to one of the first tarot tutorials, which talked about when we were looking at the imagery and the archetypes. This is just a story called the Fool's Journey and how he guides through the archetypes. So I'm just going to read the story. And this is a workshop that I've done at IKS before, and it's kind of fun. So it starts, if you have your pack, you can follow along. The Fool travels through the patterns of archetypes 1 through 21 in a process of spiritual development. The Fool steps off the cliff into the unknown, beginning his spiritual journey with a leap of faith. He embodies the innocence of our spirit and our journey and progression through life. The Fool carries the 4 tools of the magician with him in his rucksack. He is the creator, the creation, and the created. The first archetype the Fool meets on his journey is the magician. The magician teaches the Fool the law, as above, so below, and how to gain understanding of his outer world using the 4 elements, alchemy, and focus in consciousness. The second archetype the Fool encounters is the High Priestess. She represents the tarot itself and teaches the Fool to turn inward for his answers and exposes him to his subconscious. She teaches the law as within, so without. She also holds a secret initiation into her temple. After leaving the priestess, the Fool joins court with the archetypes Empress and Emperor. Here he learns of the primordial mother and father and embodies her nurturing and creativity and his stability and control. These two teach the laws of expansion and restriction and how each of these concepts is dependent on the other. The fifth archetype, the Hierophant, unites magician with priestess and emperor with empress. He is the 5th element, the quintessence, the embodiment of spirit. He teaches the Fool ancient secrets about intuition and using the 3rd eye. He exposes the Gnostic secrets of the tarot and encourages the Fool to study spirituality and follow a tested path. The Lovers is the first test the Fool reaches. He has learned too much to return to ignorance, yet he has too much ego to reach enlightenment. And so he meets a series of trials in this card, choosing the higher aspects of himself versus lower. For example, passion versus innocence. These tests teach the fool how to balance the anima and animus inside him and awaken kundalini energy. The charioteer then teaches and shows the fool how to employ these newly balanced anima and animus energies by sensing subtle energy shifts to move the fool from one level of being to the next. He now finds himself a balanced and victorious outer shell, matching his balanced inner self. After leaving the charioteer, the fool is forced to find his inner courage with strength, as he is attacked by the beats of his wants, attachments, and emotions within himself. He learns that true strength comes from a sense of inner calm and peace. And he learns the law that gentleness overcomes aggression, that yang energy should be met with yin, and yin energy with yang. Drawing on his newfound inner strength, the fool bravely retreats from the world and joins the hermit, the hermetic, to spend time in solitude and reflection. The hermit teaches the fool to meditate, integrate, and recapitulate all that he has learned on his journey so far, relying only on his own inner light for guidance. Returning back into society, the fool encounters the two natural laws of cyclicity and karma via the wheel of fortune and justice. The wheel teaches the fool to stand outside the spinning of the ego world and observe the cycles, while justice teaches the fool that the universe keeps itself neutrally in balance. Seeing these secret laws, the fool is ready to take the leap with the hanged man, who calls for a new perspective and a new way of seeing the world by surrendering to spirit and trusting in the universe to let go of the limitations of the ego. Then comes death, in which an old piece of the fool dies away. Death teaches the lesson of regeneration. Everything must die to be reborn, and we must let go of the old, the hangman, to make room for the new. In death lies life. With this sacred lesson, the fool is transformed by the angel of temperance, the angel of time, the alchemist. This is Archangel Michael, like unto God. Temperance shows the fool that time, like all energy, travels backwards and forwards at the same time, emanating out of the present moment. He teaches the fool to sense and stay in the now, balancing his inner energies moment to moment, never going to an extreme. It is with this balance that the fool prepares to face the devil, his fears, his attachments, and his materialism that keeps him bound to the earth plane. The secret lesson the devil teaches the fool is that he does not exist. The fool created him in his own chains, based on his deepest subconscious fears. The fool must face his fears and his attachments in order to free himself. Suddenly, with the fool's revelations and the defeat of the devil, a divine spark strikes the tower, and the false tower of illusion and ego crumbles, bringing sudden change and chaos as everything around the fool that he thought was real falls apart. The fool doesn't fear the change but embraces it, to be calmed by the guiding light of the star. The star teaches him to have hope in the darkness, to focus on the divine light, and to use his higher consciousness to connect with the light. Guided by the star, the fool walks the shadow side of the astral plane, the subconscious, with the moon, who teaches him the illusion of physical form and awakens his psychic powers and connections to the spirit realms. This illusion is penetrated by the clarity and radiance of the sun, who brings growth and expansion in the light of knowledge and love. The moon and sun, the moon and sun are married, the alchemical marriage, to create the gold of completion, the world card. But first, they must be transmuted by the fire of judgment. In ecstatic celebration, judgment tells the fool to cast his ego aside and ascend to a newer level of being. In this new level of being, the fool finds completion and unification of himself and all around him in the world, leading him back to the beginning of the Major Arcana to begin the adventure again. That's my take on the Fool's Journey. I hope you enjoyed it. Story time with Tico. And infinite blessings.